What if the diamond you're about to buy, or the one already on someone's finger right now, isn't actually a diamond at all, and nobody in the store ever told you? Look at this factory floor, hundreds of engagement rings coming off a Chinese assembly line right now, today. Not fakes, not glass. A real mineral, harder than almost anything on Earth, that used to cost over $2,000 a carat because for 20 years, one single company controlled every legal gram of it on the planet. That company doesn't control it anymore. Prices just crashed by 95%. And this stone didn't even come from a mine. It fell out of the sky. For most of your life, you've probably assumed a diamond is a diamond, and anything else sparkling that hard has to be fake. That has not been true for a while, and most jewelers won't tell you that, because for 20 years, exactly one American company made sure almost nobody could get the real alternative except through them. In the next 15 minutes, how a French chemist found this stone inside a meteorite crater, why it took a century before anyone could actually wear it, how one company owned it completely for 20 years, exactly how factories in China turned a $2,000 stone into a $70 one, and how to actually tell if the ring in front of you is one of these. Picture the Arizona desert in 1893. A crater nearly a mile wide, punched into the ground by a meteorite thousands of years earlier, with enough force to vaporize anything standing near it on impact. By the time a French chemist named Henri Moissanite arrives, centuries of desert wind have scattered the debris across miles of open ground. He starts combing through it anyway and finds small, transparent crystal fragments mixed in with the rock. He runs tests. Everything points to one conclusion: diamond. He announces it. Except he's wrong. Years later, closer analysis shows the crystals aren't carbon at all. They're something else, a compound of silicon and carbon that had never been cataloged on Earth before that impact. Scientists named the mineral after him, Moissanite. The first person to ever hold this stone had absolutely no idea what he was actually holding. For the next 90 years, that didn't matter to anyone, because natural moissanite is so rare that finding enough of it to cut a single ring would take longer than most human lives. It stayed a museum curiosity. Until the 1980s, in a lab that had nothing to do with jewelry at all. A company called Cree Incorporated was growing lab-made silicon carbide crystals for a completely different reason: computer chips. A gem cutter looked at their leftover material in the 1990s and realized what Cree's own engineers hadn't been thinking about. This could be cut and polished into a gem that looked almost exactly like a diamond. In 1995, a new company, Charles & Colvard, patented the process specifically for jewelry. For the next 20 years, if you wanted a legally sold gem-quality piece of Moissanite in the United States, there was exactly one place allowed to sell it to you. One company, 20 years, zero competition. And here's where it stops being a quaint origin story and starts being something closer to a hostage situation for anyone who wanted this stone. A single 1-carat piece from that one company ran over $2,000, close to what a lot of Americans spend on their entire honeymoon. No competitor could legally undercut them. No jeweler had an alternative supplier to threaten them with. The price wasn't set by what the stone cost to make. It was set by exactly how much a company can charge when the law itself guarantees nobody else is allowed to compete with you. 20 years of one company deciding alone what your ring was worth. And unlike the diamond industry's old cartel, which needed physical mines scattered across multiple continents and decades of advertising to hold its grip, this monopoly didn't need any of that. It just needed one sheet of paper in a U.S. patent office saying nobody else on Earth was legally allowed to do this. Patents don't last forever. Everyone in the industry knew exactly what day this one would hit zero. In 2015, the U.S. patent expired. The following year, so did the one covering Europe. Almost immediately, factories thousands of miles away, in a city most Americans have never heard of, started doing something Charles and Colvard had spent 2 decades legally preventing anyone else from doing. That city is Chengdu. Its factories didn't have to invent anything. An expired patent is public information by law, so anyone on Earth could now legally read exactly how to make this stone. Chinese manufacturers read it, built the equipment, and started growing the same silicon carbide crystals at a scale one American company never could, because they weren't supplying one country's jewelry stores anymore. They were supplying the planet's. Here's the number that matters. That same 1-carat stone that cost over $2,000 during the American monopoly, a Chinese-made, independently certified version in a real silver setting, now sells for somewhere between $70 and $110. That's a collapse of roughly 95% in under a decade. The stone didn't get worse. The company that used to own the only door into this market just isn't the only door anymore. Charles and Colvard didn't take this quietly. Their CEO went on record calling the Chinese-made stones an inferior product, insisting the company's engineering still set them apart. Maybe some of that's even true, but it's worth noticing what a company says in public the moment its 20-year monopoly disappears, and worth noticing they said it while shifting their entire strategy toward selling directly to independent jewelers for the first time in 27 years. Because the wholesalers who used to protect their pricing didn't need them anymore either. If you want to know exactly how to tell one of these apart from a real diamond in real life, because it's genuinely difficult, subscribe, because that's exactly what we're covering right now. Here's the part that should worry the diamond industry more than the price. Independent gemological labs now grade Chinese-made moissanite in the same color categories jewelers use for diamonds. D, E, F, the most colorless, most valuable grades there are. Some of it grades out at nearly flawless clarity. It's harder than almost every natural gemstone on Earth except diamond itself, and because of how it bends light, it throws more rainbow-colored fire than a diamond does, not less. Jewelers used to spot it instantly with a simple loupe because of a visual effect called double refraction, where light splits slightly passing through the stone. Manufacturers have adjusted the cut specifically to hide that effect from casual inspection. There's a second problem, one that catches actual jewelry stores off guard. The cheap handheld testers most shops use work by checking thermal conductivity, how fast heat moves through the stone, because that's normally enough to catch a fake. Moissanite conducts heat almost as well as a real diamond does, which means the basic pen test a lot of stores rely on can be fooled outright. Telling the two apart reliably now takes a more expensive tester that checks electrical conductivity instead, since moissanite conducts electricity and diamond does not. Most neighborhood jewelers don't own one. The one advantage the real thing used to have left, that you could catch the fake with a $5 tool, is quietly disappearing too. Chinese-made stones now even come with their own certification paperwork from a lab called GRA, printed to look almost exactly like the paperwork a real diamond gets from the industry's actual gold standard lab. To an untrained eye, even the proof of what you're buying now looks the same either way. If this sounds familiar, it should. It's the same playbook we've watched with lab-grown diamonds, with lithium batteries, with solar panels. Lithium carbonate collapsed more than 80% in under 3 years the moment Chinese refining capacity overshot demand. Solar panel prices fell by roughly 60% on the same kind of timeline, for the same kind of reason. An industry sits on a price built on genuine scarcity or a legal monopoly, and the moment Chinese manufacturing scale gets a legal opening, the price doesn't drift down. It collapses, usually within a couple of years of whatever barrier used to hold it up. If you're actually shopping for a ring right now, here's what that means. A stone that would have put a $2,000 dent in your savings 5 years ago is now something you could put on a credit card and pay off in a month, in a setting that, to your fiancé, your future in-laws, and every guest at your wedding, will look exactly like the real thing, because in every way that matters to the human eye, it basically is. Multiply that gap across every engagement happening in the country this year, and you start to see how much locked-in profit margin an entire industry just lost. All because one piece of paper in a patent office expired exactly on schedule. The traditional jewelry industry isn't thrilled for obvious reasons. Walk into most mall jewelry counters and ask directly what Moissanite actually is. Watch how quickly the conversation gets steered back toward natural diamonds, financing plans, and why the real thing is worth the difference. Some stores won't even put the word on a sign anywhere in the building, while quietly offering it from the back catalog if you specifically ask by name. Retailers making their actual margin on natural stones have every incentive to keep that conversation as short as possible, because the honest side-by-side answer costs them a sale. Which raises the real question here. If a stone from outer space, held under a legal monopoly for 20 years, can lose 95% of its value the moment Chinese manufacturing gets a legal opening, what other prices in your life are being held up by nothing more than an expired patent nobody's told you about yet? Somewhere in a jewelry store within driving distance of you right now, there's a ring in a case marked at full natural diamond price, sitting a few feet from a nearly identical stone from a factory in Chengdu, marked at a fraction of the cost. Nobody behind that counter has a single financial reason to tell you that. You're the only person in that conversation with nothing to sell. If you want to know exactly which other everyday purchases are sitting on top of expired monopolies, just like this one, subscribe, because we're going through them industry by industry, and the ring on your hand right now is nowhere close to the last one. A meteorite hit the Arizona desert thousands of years before anyone was around to see it. A confused chemist misidentified its debris as diamond in 1893. A semiconductor company accidentally recreated the same mineral a century later, without meaning to. One company controlled it completely for 20 years. And now, because of factories in a Chinese city you'd probably struggle to find on a map, you can afford to wear a piece of an actual meteorite on your own hand for less than the cost of your phone, and most people around you will have absolutely no idea that's what they're looking at.